John will talk a little bit about some numbers as we get further down into the conversation, but for the last 3 years, we have had a balanced budget in this county. Is your county in financial stress like everybody else? You bet they are. But we are working our way towards recovering and recouping from those things that's happened to us in the past. You know, the one thing I always tell people, if we made some mistakes along the way, you bet we have. Absolutely. If we learn from those mistakes, we have. And we're looking forward into the next 4 years of getting this county back where it should be financially. It takes time. It takes time. You know, we have just recently we were notified that there's 27 new wind farms coming in on the eastern end of the county. That's in addition to the 29 or 30 that's already there. That's a good sign. That's a good sign for this county financially and economic development. Just an improvement. You know, we end up getting about $250,000 from the energy tax bill from the state for those wind farms. It's important to us. We talked a little bit, the compactor side is a big buzzword right now going on, and we are looking towards opening that up on a trial basis once the state releases the ties that they have to the compactor site. We, as a Board of County Commissioners, certainly want to keep our county clean. We all live out here, we live here for a reason, and we want to continue that. So, you know, we're certainly looking at that. In fact, we were approached a week ago by a company that would like to put in a total recycling site for Elbert County. We're excited about that. That could be a real solution here. The oil and gas, that's a huge issue that's going on right now. The State House today, they're deciding about a bill, whether the county would have jurisdiction or whether the state would have jurisdiction. That's going to be fought out in the court of law, I'm sure. But I can tell you this, we're very concerned about the state of our county for oil and gas. We've moved forward with our own rules and regulations. Interestingly enough, when you get into the subject, we find a divided county. You have half the people saying no regulations, we've starved to death on our ranch, we want oil and gas. You have the other half saying, wait, time out, we want rules and regulations. So what I can tell you, and if I knew where the answer was, I would deliver that to you today. Somewhere there's a balance on rules and regulations for gas and oil. We're not there yet. I don't know where that's going to end up at. However, the three things that we want to protect in this county is the water, the air, and certainly our roads. That's a big impact from oil and gas. So we're staying ahead of, we have great people around us advising us what's going on. We have developed an oil and gas review committee that's in place, and it's comprised of people with expertise. Talk real quickly about the water issue. One of the things that we learned about the water issue in this county is that we didn't have enough people around us giving us advice. Now, we got plenty of advice. I mean, if you want advice, run for public office, you'll get it. But I'm talking about advice from people who knew what they were talking about. And so we formed a water task force. Anything that comes into this county today will have to go through this water task force that impacts water. But we would like to, we have a cooperative thing we'd like to do with all the cities, because we're in this together. And I know there's always been some rough relationships before we got in office with cities and county. We want that removed, and we certainly want to be part of that process. A couple of things real quick. We are celebrating our 100th year anniversary, our county building. August 1912 is when they dedicated that building. And we actually have some photos and some invitations that they sent out. They barbecued 13 sheep, 2 bears, and we're having trouble getting the bear, but we'd like to reproduce that this year in August, tied in with the town of Kiowa. The town of Kiowa also is celebrating some anniversaries as well. So we're trying to put that together. We've got, if you look around here, if you have not been to Patty Ann's before, the history of Elbert County is in this room. You look at these great photos that are there. We also have some more that you'll see that will be revealed during that time. One of the things that we do real quickly, that we started, in fact, about a year ago, is a thing called study sessions. And study sessions is when any subject comes up in the county that we would like to have public input in. And its thing is growing, and we're getting a lot of input. One of the things that we took was the fairgrounds. We've been trying to get bleachers, as Debbie well knows. We've been trying to replace those bleachers for years over there. Until we put together a study committee and got all the people on board with it, did it start to take its motion. We just had a meeting 2 nights ago, and this is part of what came as a result of that. And this is Elbert County Fairgrounds, and one of the themes they came up with is the heart of Elbert County, which is pretty clever. You got a great little cowboy on there, represents Elbert County. I think it says itself right there. And one of the things that they took it and they did for anybody who wants to rent the fairgrounds, then they have an inner parcel that can come, and then they sell ads to help support their cause as well. One of the things that really impressed me the most, a lot of times I get questions, well, what do you have at the fairgrounds? Well, we've got the ag building, we've got the exhibit building. Well, how many people can that occupy? I never really wrote that down. This brochure does have a picture and all the occupancy, the square footage and everything of those things that are for rent in the county. So they did a good job, I think, of putting this together. We haven't adopted this yet, but we're getting real close. Some of you in this room have been attending our meetings, and it's just a very productive group. Debbie and I have been trying to figure this thing out for at least 3 years that I know of, and in there is a picture of bleachers. And they aren't the old bleachers, believe me. There will be new bleachers there. We went out for bid. We have had 2 companies bid on that, and we're getting real close to making a decision who the successful bidder might be. What I can tell you, you hear a lot of information. Campaign years are great. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's out there. You hear a lot of stuff that's not true. And I'm here to tell you, I encourage you folks, if you have any questions about where your county is or what we're doing, contact us. That's what we're there for. We serve you, and we're an elected official, and we will be more than happy to set up a meeting with you and answer any questions, because like I said, there's a lot of things floating out there that's untrue. And we don't have enough time to go through all that stuff. I'm not a negative campaigner, I won't do that. So anyway, having said that, it's a conclusion of this meeting. If you would like to stick around, Commissioner Shipper and I will certainly hang around and we'll talk with you about whatever you want to talk about. So if you've got time to do that, well, we'll take that time for you.
Have more if we run out. I'd like to talk a little bit about the budget. There's been a lot of publicity about it, where we stand today with our finances in Elbert County. When Dell and I took office, we inherited 2 notes. One was for $5,300,000. That was on the Justice Center. That was for the tearing down and the rebuilding of the Justice Center here in Elbert County. The other note was for $2,037,500 that the former commissioners took out, and we inherited that. They took it out on, I believe, the 8th or 9th of January, and we took office on the 14th. We were handed a file when we walked into office the very first day of work and said, here it is. All that was in that file was a letter. There was not a copy of that note. That note became due September 15th of 2009. What we did was consolidate the 2 notes into something that was more easy or more easily managed. That note today is for $7,300,000. It is at 5.25%. It's a 20-year note amortized over 30 years. That was a total surprise to us, particularly the note for the $2,037,500. That's the only debt the county has at this time. There has been some publicity out there that is absolutely false. That note is on the Justice Center and the water rights to 6 properties only. Copies of that are available if anybody who wants it. We have made copies of our budget available. We have made copies of our audit report available to anybody who wants it. That is a complete change of what the former commissioners did a few years ago. We made copies available at the hearings that we had in the county. There's a lot I could talk about budget-wise. Yes, we have reduced the budget significantly. We had to in order to have a balanced budget. We had to lay off approximately 25% of the employees. We cut the total budget by 33% the first couple of years we were in order to have a balanced budget. Let me talk a little bit about property taxes. The major source of revenue comes into the county from property taxes for the general fund. That has been dropping over the years because property values have been dropping. Talk with any realtor. Our property values dropped in Simla by almost 50% in the past couple of years. Our property taxes across the board have been going down. Our budget for 2012 is about 5% less than what it was for 2011. The 2011 budget, we did have a shortfall of approximately 5%. The money simply did not come in. The major sources of revenue for the county are property tax, clerk and recorder's fees, treasurer's fees, the building and planning department, and model traffic code. That makes up the major sources of revenue for our general fund. In a nutshell, they have all been down just because of the economy. The building and planning department has been down ever since Dell and I took office 3.5 years ago. The monies just aren't coming in. People are not building. We have done our very best to keep the services at a level that are acceptable. We've gotten very few complaints, but we have had to reduce expenditures. We didn't have a choice. Where does Elbert County stand with some of the other counties in the state? We're in much better shape than a lot of other counties. Pitkin County, it's my understanding that they've had to reduce their budget for 2012 by almost 37%. Some counties had to reduce their budget for 2012 by almost 16%. Because the revenues are simply not coming in. The largest industry in the state is tourism. I have a good friend that lives in Summit County. People that used to go out to dinner are now going to Safeway and buying pizza and doing it in a condo for a dinner rather than going out and spending whatever it is you spend for a family dinner. Do we have a handle on what's going on in the county? You betcha. We consolidated the Road and Bridge Department. We no longer have 2 Road and Bridge Departments. We consolidated the Kyle and Simla Road and Bridge Department into the Elbert County Road and Bridge Department. We consolidated the Planning and Building Department into one department under one department head. We've done things like that. We now have an administration. Rather than have 4 or 5 people reporting to us, we have 1 person reporting to us. 1 person is now handling personnel, administration, finance, and accounts payable. And she has people that report to her, and this is working extremely well. Our efficiencies have picked up. To back up on a little bit what Dell said with the fairgrounds, our fairgrounds could be a major source of revenue for Elbert County. Actually, traffic has picked up. Both the exhibit building and the ag building are busy just about every weekend. Cowboy Church, which is something new for Elbert County, is in the ag building or the exhibit building every Sunday morning, and their congregation has picked up significantly. We have done everything we can to promote that facility, and talking with one of the former commissioners, those buildings were empty a great deal of time, and we have promoted that. And as Dell said, we'll be around to answer questions after the meal. I know we're covering a lot of material very quickly, and we'll be happy to talk with anybody. Thank you very much.